Hello and welcome to the wrap-up on UCFM, your on-air bulletin for all the latest in news and events from across the UC community. It's week 12 of semester 1. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm joined by Tobias and AJ. How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's me, I'm presenting.
Yeah.
I don't usually present from the get-go,
Yeah, well, thanks for coming back.
No, you just steal my mic halfway through last week's episode.
Woof. Sorry, brother. How are you, Tobias? How's everything been going?
Oh, it's been going all right.
Yeah, end of semester blues, or are you excited for it to finally end?
Both. It's like,
I'm excited.
got exciting stuff next month, but I've just got to get through hell month.
Yeah,
and then
internship on the way, I see.
Yeah.
Right, well, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening on today's show, Ben?
Well, on today's show, we'll be chatting with Satara from Migrant Workers Service on Canberra to find out more about and find out more about the Snow Scholarship Program and our weekly Student Society Spotlight. We'll also have the latest community news and a weekly events guide.
Oh, I forgot what colours.
Tobias.
Yeah, I am orange. Before we get into it, just a few quick reminders. Follow our socials at UCFM_87.8 to keep up to date with everything happening.
Exactly. And join in on the conversation today. Send us a message during the show on our text line. That's 0415 774405. And if you haven't already, you can tune in to UCFM live and from everywhere by downloading the iHeartRadio app. Guys, without further ado, let's wrap things up.
Well, to start this week's show, we're joined by Satara Uthayakumaran. Sorry for the first little miss there. From Migrant Workers Service Canberra. She's here to speak about the current landscape of employment for migrant workers in the ACT and the support services offered. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to start us off, tell us a little bit about the work of the Migrant Workers Service.
Sure. So the Migrant Workers Service is a branch of Union's ACT. So we operate here in Canberra and in the broader territory, basically talking about what your rights are in the workplace. And so where I'm kind of situated particularly is in the Migrant Workers Service, as you pointed out, which is part of a coordinated Department of Home Affairs funded nationwide program. And basically what we do is actually target specifically people on temporary visas, such as, you know, whether that means you're working as an adult, but also international students. So it's very pertinent to the university landscape here in Canberra about what your rights are and how you can seek help if you need it. And I think the reason we kind of came about was because there's actually quite a need for more workplace education in terms of rights and what you're entitled to, particularly if you're on a temporary visa. In Australia, I think nearly 2/3 of migrant workers have been exploited in their working careers or experienced wage theft. And so it's really important that we actually raise more awareness about these issues. So coming on shows like these are really helpful for getting the word out.
Yeah, of course. And so what's your assessment of the current migrant worker experience in the ACT?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I think after doing extensive surveys, at least in Australia, the issue is really widespread. As I said, about 2/3 of migrant workers have experienced wage theft, and 1 in 4 migrant workers have experienced different types of exploitation at some point or other in their career. So that can look like things like being coerced to breach your visa conditions. So one of the really big things that we hear from international students here in the ACT is that workplaces will often say, oh, just work an extra couple of hours, because we know there's a limit on how many hours you can work as an international student on a visa, and then international students will feel obligated to do so, and that by doing that they breach their visa conditions and can get deported. So things like that's a really big issue. Obviously wage theft, so not being paid the minimum wage that you're entitled to. One of the really big misconceptions that we hear from a lot of people in the ACT is that if you're a migrant worker, you're entitled to less than a standard worker who is a permanent resident here or is a citizen. That's absolutely not true. Like, you have the same rights as everyone else. You might just be entitled to work less hours, but it's really important.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we have quite a few international students in our community specifically. What difficulties would you say that they face compared to just the general migrant worker experience?
Yeah, well, I think what's really interesting about being an international student is that you're quite young, so you're coming out here from a country, maybe English isn't your first language, so it's really tricky to navigate that landscape. But also, we hear a lot about people who are scared. The fact that, we all often have to flag that despite the fact that we get funding from the Department of Home Affairs, we're not actually the Department of Home Affairs, so you don't have to worry. We're not going to report you even if you've breached a condition. We're here to help you. So I think international students are particularly vulnerable and often don't think that they can seek help because they don't want to breach their conditions or they're afraid. And that's where we step in and we say, we'll be that ear for you and we'll be able to refer you on to free legal support, because we don't offer legal advice ourselves, but we can refer you on for free and in a confidential way. So definitely, that extended vulnerability. And so we're always wanting to reach as many people as possible to bring them on board.
Yeah. And so what changes are there that you hope will happen for migrant workers in the ACT and Australia in general?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is I would really hope more people come and speak out about their conditions. Really interestingly, we hear so much about things like modern slavery here in Australia, which is really surprising. Often we think about it as being this really distant thing, but it actually exists sometimes here in Canberra, in the ACT area specifically. And so, making sure more workers feel comfortable to come out with their stories, but also making sure that employers know that they shouldn't be able to break the law. I think one of the things that we also offer is actually workshops for employers and say, these are the things that you have to do. These are the rules you have to abide by. You can't coerce your migrant workers to be doing X, Y, Z. Here's how you make your employment more friendly for people who don't speak English as a first language, things like that. The other thing that we would also encourage is for people to come and use our services for really basic things like how to understand your payslip. Like I remember when I was working retail when I was younger, I had no idea how to read a payslip, and I think most Australians, and particularly young Australians, can attest to that. So basically, our services here, Migrant Workers, Canberra.org.au, and people can just reach out and say, look, I'm not sure if this payslip is right. I'm not sure if I'm not getting paid enough. Can you help me out? I would love to do that for free. So, basically the whole point of this service is just to make sure that people come forward and that we actually create a good national conversation about how we make sure we're not exploiting our migrant workers.
Of course. And you mentioned the employers specifically, and I find that quite interesting. What's your relationship like with employers in the ACT?
Yeah, it's getting better. Obviously, being unions ACT, we're always on the side of the working man. So we do tend to get into a little bit of beef with employers. But in saying that, we're always here to work with them to make sure that conditions are as good as possible for the workers themselves. Like we're always here to defend the people who feel most powerless in those situations. It's good, it's ongoing, and we'd encourage any employer also to get in touch if you'd just like to have more literacy yourself around what you can and can't do, and how to make workplaces safer and better for people.
Certainly. And do you find that the ACT is better or worse or just generally the same as the rest of Australia when it comes to this area?
It's so interesting. I would say that the ACT, it's good. I think we've got really good legislation here and good awareness around workplace rights, and we are a fairly progressive jurisdiction, so that's always really helpful. I used to do some work out in regional parts of the NT, and it's really hard to get workplace literacy, in Katherine or Alice Springs, and so you get a lot of workers' exploitation there, even particularly of actually migrant workers who go out and live in remote and regional areas. So it's definitely pretty rough around parts of Australia where you can't reach them as much. But in saying that, again, I would not mistake that for there not being anything in the ACT. I think it's really important to realise that it still happens here. It still happens really close to home. We've met with so many people who have been exploited into modern slavery or other forms of forced employment conditions which have been really unsafe here in the ACT. So I can tell you kind of firsthand from getting that data that it is happening here, and it particularly happened to international students. So that's a really big cohort that we hope we can address.
Yeah, and I guess for anyone who's listening and they might be thinking to themselves, maybe I'm being exploited by my employer, what would you, besides the services you provide, what would your advice be?
Yeah, so I think what's really, what I'd recommend people do is look into something called the Workplace Justice Visa. And so this is a visa that you can use to stay in Australia when you're seeking justice from your employer if you've suffered workplace abuse. So that means that, you won't get kicked out of the country immediately if you're pursuing a claim, or something you actually are entitled to stay here. And again, we can help with that. We're more than happy to refer you on to a lawyer who can provide you with assistance. And the other thing is, reporting protections have also been strengthened recently. So, for example, you can take steps to ensure that your visa is not cancelled. If your employer, for example, coerces you into violating your visa conditions, as we said before, making you work extra hours and things like that. So I think we're really seeing this great move towards actually being more empathetic towards people's conditions, and that's again the thing I really want to emphasize. If you think you've done something wrong, that's okay, please do come to us. We are confidential and we can help you out, and you won't always get deported, so it's okay. It's better that you come forward.
Of course.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And so if people want to find more information, where can they go to get that?
Of course. So if you go to Migrant Workers Canberra, that's cbr.org.au, we have a contact form which you can use to get in touch with us, and just go to the Union's ACT website as well, and that will refer you on to us. But we also have Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, so get in touch those ways. We're really easy to approach, and we'd love to hear from you.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Satara, for coming on this show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's now time for the news wrap. A cybersecurity breach affecting the learning management system Canvas was revealed on Saturday, May 2nd, with UC among 9,000 institutions affected globally. The breach is confirmed to include the names and university-assigned email addresses of UC staff and students. The university has indicated no further breach of staff and student data, including passwords and government identifiers. Instructure, the parent company of Canvas, first discovered the breach on April 29th and has since begun to investigate the incident, with no further threats identified. In response to the breach, UC has said it is independently monitoring the situation and will coordinate its response with the Australian government and tertiary education bodies, including the National Office of Cybersecurity.
Woof.
Wow, that's a big one.
It is a
when
big
I
one.
first read that.
I am, a little bit glad that not too much was revealed, but
Yeah.
I do feel for those other institutions that have.
Yeah, I mean,
more.
it's not. I mean, 9,000. I read that it was millions of students affected as well. So
Wow.
it's quite a big breach.
Right. Well, did you read anything about what we can do, or is it we just have to
I think, unfortunately, we just have to
ride through it and
ride
move
through
forward?
it.
Yeah. Oh, a shame.
Luckily for us, it's not. Because I mean, from what I've heard, for other institutions, it may be more than just email addresses and names. So at least it's not that bad.
Guys, change your passwords. That's one.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving forward, a multi-year collaboration between the Wreck Bay Aboriginal Community and UC Centre for Creative and Cultural Research has reached its conclusion with the recent release of a new creative writing anthology book. Ooh. The book, titled Bagaya Yesterday, Nawe Today, and Buraja Tomorrow, Stories from the Wreck Bay People, is a collection of poems, stories, and memoirs by 31 community members. The centre was first contacted in 2022 to assist in preserving generational knowledge, with the project unfolding across a series of 8 workshops between 2022 and 2025, and the launch event taking place in Borderee National Park coincided with the 30th anniversary celebration of the return of the park to the Wreck Bay Aboriginal Community Council. Very cool.
Yeah, and there is a launch event coming up at UC at the end of the month, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, as a
Awesome.
creative writing student, I'm very
Definitely.
interested. I think one of my teachers is part of this,
Yes.
this as well. I think
Oh,
you
that's
mentioned,
sick.
which is really, really lovely to see.
Jen Crawford, Dr.
Yeah.
Jen Crawford, shout out.
Yeah, shout out Dr. Jen.
Anyway, the ACT government has now locked in their preferred route for the Stage 2B light rail extension to Woden. The route, a more direct path than its second option, will miss the suburbs of Parkes and Barton and instead move directly through State Circle. ACT Transport Minister Chris Steele explained that this preferred plan will, quote, reduce planning risk in the future because it is consistent with the National Capital Plan. The final environmental impact statement, including the selected route, will now be lodged with the federal government and the Territory Planning Authority. An outcome is expected by the end of the year, with the 2B extension set to include 9 new stops. Do you guys live in South Canberra by any chance?
Not I,
No,
sir.
but
I don't.
I was just down there and for the first time and saw the new Woden interchange, and it's quite schmick.
Well,
so-
the light rail extension is set to finish at the Woden interchange,
Yeah.
actually. So
There we go. Yeah, I've ridden the light rail a couple times. There was an assignment that we did last year, where it was all about the public transport system. So it's really nice to see that it's extending a little bit further.
Of course.
on.
Yeah.
for
Although, how long will it take?
sure. Let's
15
see.
years?
I think it's going to take a while. I mean, this isn't even the final. This is not the final extension, hopefully, but that's going to take a while. Anyway, that's the latest news from around the UC community. And it's now time for our campus spotlight. This week we're joined by Isabella and Layla, 2 snow scholars at UC. The Snow Scholarship Program is an undergraduate program supporting students in Canberra and regional or rural New South Wales. Thanks for coming into the studio.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Of course. Well, tell me a little bit about the Snow Scholarship Program from your perspective.
So I think the Snow Scholarship Foundation really focuses on, I guess, being an opportunity for students who, I guess, have a barrier to achieve their higher education from New South Wales, regional and remote, and ACT.
Yeah, and you guys are yourself snow scholars. What did you first decide to apply?
So I was initially introduced to the application through my careers advisor at school, and going into it, if I'm being quite honest, I really did not know what I was doing, but I just went for it, nothing to lose really, and I'm very glad I did it now. Obviously, through the application process, I found out a lot more about it, and there's just so much support that's available, obviously extending a lot more beyond financial. We have our program manager, Claire, that gives us everyday support, and also the equity and success team, tutors, and it really just gives us this all-wrap support that really gets us through every day.
Fantastic. And so, well, you were talking about going through the process of applying. How did it feel when you were actually accepted?
It honestly felt quite surreal. I was very shocked to begin with, and it wasn't until I went in and told my parents it actually set in that it was happening. And move-in day was a big moment of realisation for me. It will really has changed my uni experience for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned move-in day. How was it like starting uni, but not just as a, I guess, regular student, as a snow scholar?
Yeah, honestly, being a snow scholar, it really has changed my uni experience. Obviously, uni for lots of people in regional areas is sadly not an option. So I didn't know quite a lot of people coming to uni, but then I was obviously introduced to Izzy through our program manager, and we met up for lunch one day and it was our first time meeting, and we actually started talking for 3 hours. So I've met so many amazing people through the program. And yeah, what about you, Izzy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely very interested as well to hear about how you found meeting everyone else who's been a part of the program.
Yeah, I think it was pretty a great opportunity. You know, starting with the 17 of us scholars this year, we were all actually spontaneously met each other at my dorm room on the first night. You know, I think it was definitely a good icebreaker. You know, it took away, I guess, from, you know, the anxiety of not knowing anyone to, you know, you've got 16 new friends. And like Layla said, you know, we were buddies partnered up through the program, both from the same town, both studying the same degree. So it was pretty crazy that we didn't actually know each other. You know, Goulburn's not actually that big. So yeah, I think, meeting everyone has been pretty awesome, through the scholarship.
Yeah, and how has it gone up until this moment? How have you found actually studying your degree with this sort of support?
Yeah, so it's not until I actually explain to people what my uni experience has been like that I realise how much support I actually have. Like, it's really quite amazing to look back and reflect. I've had lots of help from tutors through all my assignments and everything. That's really been a big help for me. Going into it, obviously, uni is such a big different environment to high school, so it's really been incredible to have that extra support there, to know you're okay, and to really just help you every step on the way.
It sounds like a fantastic experience. And when you graduate, what do you hope to do? And how do you think that having done this, being part of the scholarship, will affect your life after uni? Yeah,
so obviously when I graduate, I would love to get straight into my career of teaching. So I'm doing a Bachelor of Primary Education, so is Izzy. But obviously I'd love to travel, experience the world, but also applying for the scholarship, a big part of me was the leadership experiences. I really wanted to develop my skills. So obviously taking on those leadership roles within school environments. And I think being a part of this scholarship program will really help me do that in the future and move up into leadership positions.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm also interested because I know that Snow Scholarship supports people from regional New South Wales. How do you think being from a regional town is going to affect your perspective on your future career?
Yeah, I think both of us being primary ed students, being from regional towns, myself growing up across the Central West and the Southern Tablelands, it's definitely the perspective, I think, of both being from small schools, having the, I guess, background knowledge of, knowing like all your teachers, knowing everyone else at your school, and having, great support systems has been really useful. So I think them experiences, that you can't really get, I guess, in city lifestyles has been really awesome. I think that'll be definitely useful for us after graduation.
And I have a question for you guys.
Of course.
Can I ask one?
Yes.
No, I don't usually pop in during the questions, but I love, talking to people from regional towns. I've got a good friend who's from Coonabarabran, if you know that place.
Molly.
Yeah, shout out Molly. And she was at uni as well. Now, you guys are doing education. We need a lot of teachers. It's really great to see that you guys are working on that. Would you guys like to move back and go back into regional towns for your teaching, or would you like to stay in a more metropolitan area?
I think my personal goal definitely is to, I think it aligns pretty well with the Snow Foundation value of social justice. So personally, I really just want to get in and make a difference, and be able to ensure all children are met at schools with equity, inclusiveness and fairness. I think it's pretty important that regional kids still get the same opportunities as city kids. So
100%. Yeah, nice. What about you?
Yeah, for me, honestly, at this stage, I kind of have the mindset just go wherever the wind takes me.
Nice.
I'm really trying to, we're both on placement at the moment, actually. So I'm really trying to just get experience at a variety of different schools. But I think it's definitely important to give back to those regional communities. Obviously, growing up in Goulburn would be such a different experience to growing up somewhere like Canberra or Sydney. And I think it's so important to have that equity in education everywhere you go. It should be really accessible for everyone. And yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, there you go.
Certainly. Well, I mean, on one last note, applications are open for 2027, of course. What would your advice be to anyone who knows someone or anyone who's currently living in regional New South Wales to apply, I guess?
I would say just give it your best shot. I always say you have nothing to lose. I wasn't even going to apply. I thought I had no chance at all, but here I am now. Just be yourself. It's the best thing you will ever do.
Of course.
Yeah. I also think too, there's 17 of us scholars. There's a bit of an age range. So, not everyone is here on the traditional ATAR pathway. Like myself included, I did a traineeship in school. So I really think that's what helped me get into uni. So, I think don't limit yourself, even if you don't think you fit the general, I guess, uni category, it's definitely still an accomplishment that can be reached. And I think the Snow Scholarship is a great way to achieve that.
Yeah, and that's a big part of UC as well. We were just speaking about the new brand
Yes,
last week.
You can at UC. And it turns out you can.
Of
You
course.
totally
Yeah.
can.
Well, on that note, thank you, Isabella and Layla, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And of course, for anyone who's listening, Snow Scholarship is open for applications for next year. So definitely check that out because submissions close the 12th of July.
Let's take a look, guys, at the upcoming events on campus. So tomorrow, May 8th, if you're an international student and keen for a free feed, Student Wellbeing and Support is hosting the next International Student Lunch from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. So come on down to the UC Student Lounge right opposite the food pantry. There'll be plenty of food, and it's a great opportunity to meet new people and connect with support services on campus. And all international students are welcome. So if you're interested, check out the UC events page to register and find out
Something
more.
that I'd love, sorry to interrupt, something that I'd love to see is one semester should try and substitute as much of their diet as possible with free food offered on campus. They have a lot
I'm sure
of free
people
food
do
events.
that. People do that already.
People
I
do that
think.
out of
No, but, like-
necessity, I think.
Okay, but they should try and max it out. Do you think anyone maxes it out?
You
Goes to
can-
everything?
Food maxing, is
Food
that what
maxing.
you'd call it? Free
food maxing. I recognize that there are many people who do that, but for
You recognize your
necessity,
privilege, Ben?
But
Yeah, you're going to mog everyone at free food maxing.
please food max.
Please food max. Anyway, moving forward.
Moving forward, on Saturday, May 9th, the ACT Brumbies will be hosting the Western Force at GAO Stadium from 7:35 p.m. for round 13 of the 2026 Super Rugby Pacific season. The Brumbies will be searching for redemption against the Force on home turf after going down to the Western side in their round 2 clash in 2025. UC students have the chance to score free tickets to see the match and support the Brumbies. With only 200 tickets to give away per game, get in quick by checking out the UCX website for codes and links to get the tickets.
Ooh,
Anybody here
Brumbies.
rugby fans?
I want to be.
I'm not a rugby
You
union
want to
fan.
be?
I like women's rugby.
That's cool.
I
Hey.
prefer rugby league, actually.
There we go.
So,
I prefer real sports.
Shut up.
oh, this is real sports.
Well, out of the sports, Ben, what's next?
On Tuesday, May 12th, get into... Wait, what are you referring to?
What's next for this? What's next on the script, bro?
That's not sport. On Tuesday, May 12th, get into the study mood with some free pizza hosted by the Canberra Law Student Society. If you're looking for a different vibe to your exam or study sesh, come along from 5 p.m. and lock in. To register your interest and for more details, see the class rubric page.
So we getting on the free food maxing grind.
Food maxing.
Unfortunately,
I'm
I'm
telling
not a law student, so I can't food max in this.
you. You could
part.
Yeah, but can we pretend to be law students?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, let's get that pizza. There's a lot of actually
Probable cause.
probable cars.
Well, speaking of free pizza, on Wednesday, May 13, feeling the end of Sam's stress, if you need an outlet to rustle out the intensity, look no further than the Southern Concourse. UC Life will be bringing the fun with an inflatable obstacle course so you can take a break from assignments, lectures, and deadlines. It's a perfect chance to challenge yourself, laugh with friends, and make some unforgettable campus memories. Whether you race to win or just bounce your way through, come along, get active, and show your uni spirit. Book now on the UC events page.
Speaking of pizza, he said.
Well, AJ, speaking of bouncy castles, what's on next?
Wow. I just want to say, is this like Fall Guys in real life?
Hey, let's see. Maybe
That's just what a bouncy castle is.
check it out on Wednesday, okay? Go to
what time? So what time was it?
Well, book now on the UC events page to figure out when.
That's what time it is.
To figure out
Wednesday's
when.
a very bad day for me, unfortunately.
Well, you know what else is happening on Wednesday if you've got time? Off the Grid Girls will be walking the Canberra Classic Bridge to Bridge loop around Lake Burley Griffin. So this is a great opportunity for some good chats and easy movement to break up the week. And if that isn't enough to convince you to buy us, there'll be hot chockies to finish off the evening. So more details can be found
That
on
sounds
the
amazing.
OTGG Rubric
See,
page.
you targeted me, but I think I might not fit Off the Grid Girls.
Hey, you can... Well, I mean, what happened to Food Maxing? There's hot chockies to finish.
And hot chocky is good.
Pop on a wig and go.
There were some great wigs at the dollar store when we were there the other day.
Well, there we go.
Speaking of wigs at the dollar store, what's on next?
On Thursday, May 14th, take a break from your studies and join UC Thrive and Wellbeing team for a night of karaoke at the UC bar. Unwind, connect with others, and have a great night with no singing experience required. There'll be free finger food and soft drinks with themed song rounds, fun challenges, and prizes for standout performances. Everyone is welcome, so drop by any time between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. to score your spot on the stage, or just relax for a night of music and good vibes. Check out the UC events page for more info.
Yep, and I'll be hosting a karaoke at the same time where experience is required, and I'll be testing you at the door.
Will you be there? Because I have full intentions of hitting that stage and...
Hey,
Yeah,
we should duet. Ain't no mountain high enough.
That's his
my
song!
go-to.
Oh my gosh, no, that's perfect.
Ben,
and
do you wanna duet?
guys-
I'm not that good at it, but yes, we can.
No, you're amazing. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of duets, I can't stop
Speaking of
doing
music, speaking of music.
On Friday, May 15th, Canberra legend Genesis Owusu will be electrifying the stage at the UC Refectory for his pirate radio tour. The Ghanaian Australian artist will be stopping by his hometown on release day of his third studio album, Red Star We and the Worldwide Scourge. Renowned for his high-energy shows that blur the lines between concert and performance art, this is a concert you definitely won't want to miss. Tickets are still available, so head over to Mushtix to book now and check out the Genesis Owusu interview on our website because we've interviewed him recently.
Lovely guy.
Did I pronounce the
Red
album name?
Star, We, and
We.
the...
It's We? Okay, that's
I
good.
actually have no idea.
Check
but-
out the show for more info on that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also on the 15th, guys, because there's a lot going on, the University of Canberra Diagnostic Imaging Association is partnering with Loomis Imaging for a night of axe throwing. Guys, get
They
your
got
anger
Loomis
out.
Imaging on this?
Hey, they did. Come along, guys, for a night of food, drinks, and unconventional sport at Maniacs Axe Throwing in Canberra. And don't forget to stick around for an introduction and overview of Loomis Imaging and their graduate programs for 2027. So, guys, if you're keen on a night of fun and an opportunity to connect with professionals in the radiographer workforce, book your tickets on the UCDIA rubric
Yes,
page.
and I assume Loomis Imaging is a radiographer company instead of an axe throwing company.
Totally. I
So-
don't know where the interlocking... Why they decided axe throwing, but...
I love it though. I mean, I kind of want to do an axe throwing. Like, I want to
would
go.
It just
love
sounds like
that.
quality team building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be honest, yeah.
Like escape
it's-
room this,
And,
escape
I
room
mean,
that, axe throwing.
Axe throwing is a requirement of being a radiographer.
1,000%.
People
yeah.
don't know that, but it is.
Yeah, only radiographer people studying that would know. Now, Tobias,
All us
what's happening?
radiographers here. But then all of next week, UCX and UC Live are back with a whole bunch of events for Stress Less Week. Free food, sport, trivia, dogs, and more. Check out the UC Live Instagram or UC Events page for the full event schedule and to find out more.
Guys. I'm
Dogs?
going. Dogs.
They'll have dog petting.
Yeah.
That's a regular thing they usually do.
They
This
do.
is a
Very
this is a recurring
They
thing.
bring dogs around the. I mean, check out the events page because they bring dogs around the concourse.
There's lots. I have seen the events page and the UC Life Instagram, and I will say that there are some very exciting things popping up. So go check it out. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's all that's happening around UC. Make sure to check out the UC events page and UC socials for more info on these events and to find out what else is happening around campus.
Well, that's all we have time for today, but thanks for joining us on this particularly talkative edition of The Wrap Up.
Yes, and you can listen to this episode of The Wrap Up and past episodes on our website, ucfm.com.au, or find the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts.
Of course, don't forget to follow our socials at UCFM_87.8.
And there's always something happening around campus, so make sure to keep an eye out on UC socials and the Student Bulletin.
Exactly. Well, we'll be back again next week to keep you up to date with what's going on across the UC community. But until then, guys,
that's a wrap.